Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And nowhere is this true than when a man tries to win a woman's interest. You overthink. You second-guess. You analyze every word, every move. But the more you try to control the outcome, the less control you actually have. A woman does not fall for a man who plays games. She falls for a man who understands himself so deeply that he doesn't need them. This is the way of the Stoic. If you want to make her want you naturally, without deception, without manipulation, you must master something far more powerful than tricks. You must master yourself. Watch until the end, and you'll understand exactly how to do that. Like, subscribe, and share your story in the comments below. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop focusing on the outcome. Desire is a double-edged sword. The moment you become attached to an outcome, whether it's winning her affection, securing her attention, or proving your worth, you give away your power. You shift from a man who is present and grounded to a man who is anxious, reactive, and desperate. The Stoics taught that attachment to results leads only to suffering, and this is never more true than in matters of attraction. If your confidence rises and falls based on whether she texts you back, smiles at your joke, or compliments your appearance, then you are no longer the one steering the ship. You're letting someone else's behavior define your value. And that's a weak foundation for any relationship, especially one where you're trying to be seen as high value. A man who is truly attractive is one who finds joy in the moment itself. He isn't performing. He isn't manipulating the conversation to lead to a certain result. He isn't calculating every word or gesture. Instead, he shows up fully, authentically, and without fear. He listens to understand, not to respond. He speaks his truth, not what he thinks she wants to hear. He moves through life with ease, not urgency. This kind of presence is magnetic. It radiates calm, security, and self-respect. And women pick up on this instantly. Just as they can sense neediness like a foul odor, they can sense real confidence like a fresh breeze. Here's something powerful to consider. Do you even like her? Not just her appearance, not just the attention she might give you, but who she is, how she thinks, what she values. This one question flips the entire dynamic. Most men are so busy trying to earn a woman's approval that they never pause to ask themselves if she has earned theirs. They hand over all their power in exchange for a glance, a compliment, or a number. But when you start evaluating her, not out of arrogance but out of self-respect, you shift into a position of strength. Instead of twisting yourself into the ideal man for her, you simply bring your whole self to the table. You stop seeking permission to be liked and start expressing the kind of man you already are. This is when attraction begins to happen naturally, organically, because there's no pressure, no pretense, no performance. Just two people connecting, honestly and without fear. That's the mindset of a high-value man, calm, curious, and detached from outcomes. Not because he doesn't care, but because he knows that his worth isn't determined by whether or not she sees it. He already sees it for himself. Chapter 2. Take things slow. Most men fail not because they are rejected, but because they sabotage themselves by moving too fast. They confuse urgency with intensity. They mistake impatience for passion. In their eagerness to secure something, they miss the art of allowing something meaningful to develop. True attraction doesn't bloom under pressure, it deepens through space, time, and emotional pacing. The Stoics understood that everything of value in life unfolds naturally. Force nothing. Let what wants to grow, grow. When a man rushes a woman, whether it's by constantly texting her, pushing to meet again too soon, showering her with over-the-top attention, or pressing for exclusivity, he creates tension, not chemistry. He replaces intrigue with overwhelm. Instead of making her feel drawn toward him, he makes her feel boxed in. And here's the truth, attraction thrives in freedom. It withers under demand. A woman must have the space to miss you, to wonder what you're doing, to feel the subtle ache of anticipation. That's what builds magnetism, not pressure, but presence combined with restraint. Slowing down doesn't mean withholding affection or playing childish games. It means you're emotionally grounded. You're not trying to lock her down out of fear of losing her. You're not moving fast because you're anxious about the outcome. You move with intention, not impulse. And that shows a level of inner stability that is rare. When a man controls his urgency, he demonstrates that he is not ruled by external circumstances, he governs himself, just as the Stoics did. There is also power in mystery. When you give everything up front, your emotions, your history, your attention, your time, you remove all the curiosity. There's nothing left to explore. And exploration is where attraction builds. A woman doesn't want a complete blueprint on the first date. She wants a story that unfolds, a man she gets to discover over time. Let her ask questions. Let her lean in. Let the pace of your connection mirror the depth you both want to reach. When you allow things to breathe, you give her time to process what she feels. Most men try to bypass this. They think more interaction equals more interest. But interest isn't linear, it's emotional. It comes in waves. If you're always pushing, she never gets the opportunity to feel her own desire build. She may even begin to resist, not because she's not attracted, but because you denied her the natural rhythm of longing. The Stoic way is to move with calm confidence. To engage without chasing. To let silence, pauses, and distance work in your favor. Every time you hold back from forcing progress, you increase the emotional gravity between you. She begins to sense that you're different, not needy, not overeager, not trying to control the outcome. That's what captivates her. Not just your presence, but your composure. So resist the urge to rush. Let the moment stretch. Let the tension simmer. Speak with patience. Act with clarity. And allow the connection to develop the way all powerful things do, slowly, with intention and with depth. Because real attraction, the kind that doesn't need to be chased, is always earned over time. Chapter 3. Pay attention and be present. The greatest skill a man can develop is the ability to listen. Not just hear, but truly listen. Most men operate in the shallow waters of conversation, reacting instead of absorbing, waiting to speak rather than receiving what's being said. They miss the very thing that could set them apart, the discipline of being fully, unapologetically present. Presence is not a gimmick. It is not a technique. It is a way of being, and when it's mastered, it is unforgettable. The average man is distracted, not just by the glow of his phone or the noise of the environment, but by his own internal chatter. He's rehearsing responses, second-guessing impressions, analyzing outcomes. He's in his head, not in the room. And women feel this. They sense when your attention is divided. They see it in the subtle shifts, your wandering eyes, your impatient nods, your generic replies. You become forgettable, not because you lack charm, but because you lack presence. A Stoic man, however, moves differently. He understands that the foundation of connection is not performance but attention. He approaches every conversation not as a way to prove his worth, but as an opportunity to understand. He slows down. He makes space for silence. He is not threatened by pauses or depth. He listens, not to reply, but to connect. And in a world where most men are mentally elsewhere, this becomes magnetic. Being present is not passive. It's not just sitting quietly and staring. It's an active engagement of the mind and body. It means your posture reflects your focus. Your eyes stay with hers, not in a creepy way, but with calm intensity. It means your responses are thoughtful, rooted in what she said, not just pulled from your back pocket of clever lines. Presence is energy, and women are highly sensitive to that energy. When you're fully tuned in, they feel it in their body, even if they can't explain why. This level of attention also communicates something primal: safety. When a woman feels seen and heard, she relaxes. She lets her guard down. She opens up. Why? Because presence signals that you are capable of emotional containment. It shows that you are not easily shaken, not distracted, not mentally fractured. It tells her you can handle not just her words, but her emotions, her moods, her unpredictability. This is rare. This is valuable. It's also deeply Stoic. The philosophy of presence is rooted in the idea of living in accordance with nature, and what is more natural than engaging fully in the moment that is happening now? The Stoics didn't run from silence or distraction. They disciplined their minds to stay rooted in what is real, what is now. When you bring the discipline into your interactions, you are no longer chasing connection. You become the grounding force that invites connection in. So put the phone away, and not just physically, but mentally. Stop planning what to say next. Stop scanning the room for a better opportunity. Focus on her. Not in a needy way, but with grounded interest. Ask deeper questions, not because you're trying to be deep, but because you're genuinely curious. Let the conversation breathe. Let the moment unfold. When a woman speaks, pay attention to more than just her words. Listen to the rhythm of her voice, the subtle changes in her expression, the energy in her body. These are signals most men miss. But you're not most men. You're present. And in your presence, she finds something she's not used to: space to be real, space to be seen. That kind of experience lingers. Long after the conversation ends, she remembers how it felt to talk to you. Not because you said all the right things, but because you made her feel understood. And that is a rare kind of seduction, one that doesn't fade, one that doesn't need games. Presence is power. It's what separates the men who try too hard from the men who don't have to try at all. When you show up completely, not just with your body, but with your awareness, you create an emotional imprint that no amount of charm or effort can replicate. And in a world full of noise, your quiet attention becomes unforgettable. So if you want her to want you naturally, don't try harder, be here more fully. Be the man who makes her feel like the only person in the room. Not through flattery, not through performance, but through real, undistracted presence. Because in that moment, you are no longer chasing her attention. You've already earned it. Chapter 4 of Meaningful Conversations. Small talk is forgettable. It leaves no mark, no echo, no reason to stay. It floats on the surface and disappears the moment the conversation ends. And for most women, it's all they ever hear: men asking about their day, their job, their favorite restaurant or movie, thinking that's enough to create a spark. But it's not. Not even close. What they crave isn't just attention, it's depth. It's that rare feeling of being seen, not just noticed. A Stoic man does not waste time with mindless chatter. He doesn't collect facts about a woman like he's filling out a resume. He doesn't ask the same recycled questions everyone else does. He seeks to understand. He listens with intent. He feels the weight behind her words. And when he speaks, it's not to fill silence, it's to create meaning. He's not looking for entertainment. He's looking for insight, for substance, for truth. Because here's what most men don't realize: conversation is not about information. It's about connection. When you ask a woman what she does, she can answer on autopilot. But when you ask why she does it, what drives her, what scares her, what inspires her, you touch something deeper. You bypass the mask she shows the world and invite her to reveal the parts she usually hides. And when you do that with presence and patience, she starts to open up, not out of obligation, but out of curiosity. She starts to feel something. Women are emotional creatures, not in the cliché sense, but in the sense that they connect through feeling, not logic. A conversation that stirs her emotionally will be remembered long after a conversation that merely entertained her. So stop trying to impress her with clever lines or stories you think she'll like. Ask the questions no one else dares to. The kind that require a pause. The kind that dig under the surface. The kind that say, I actually care who you are. And when she answers, really answers, don't interrupt. Don't shift the topic. Let her linger in her own thoughts. Let her feel that you're not just hearing her, you're absorbing her. Silence, when held with strength, becomes its own kind of intimacy. Most men are terrified of it. But a Stoic man knows that silence isn't empty. It's space. And in that space, trust is built. This is how intrigue is born. Not from charm or performance, but from presence. A woman begins to feel something for you when she realizes that you're not trying to get something from her, you're just being with her. Fully. Attentively. Openly. That's rare. That's powerful. And it leaves a mark. When you speak to a woman with this kind of intentionality, you invite her into something most people avoid, vulnerability. And that vulnerability is where real attraction lies. Because when she feels safe to be herself, she also feels more free to feel something for you. You stop being just another guy with a nice smile or good stories. You become the man who made her feel something real. Something she didn't expect. Most men are so afraid of depth because it requires presence. It requires you to not just hear, but listen. It requires you to not just talk, but share. To reveal something of your own. To say, this is what I've learned from pain, or this is where I'm still growing. A man who can be honest about himself, without shame, without ego, unlocks a level of connection that no line or tactic ever could. Women fall for men who make them feel alive. Not with flash. Not with games. But with genuine curiosity and connection. If she walks away from your conversation feeling more herself, if she feels seen, inspired, reflective, then you've done something most men never do. You've touched her soul, not just her mind. And here's the beauty of it. Meaningful conversation doesn't mean being serious all the time. It means being real. You can still laugh. You can still tease. You can still be playful. But underneath that playfulness is a foundation of substance. A steadiness. A curiosity that doesn't fade after the first few minutes. This is the Stoic approach, not to manipulate with words, but to invite with presence. To listen not just to respond, but to understand. To speak not just to impress, but to connect. When you can do this, you don't need to chase her attention. She gives it willingly. Because in a world full of noise, a man who speaks with depth is like silence in a storm. She feels it. She remembers it. And she wants it again. So the next time you're with her, forget the script. Forget the pick-up lines. Look her in the eye. Ask something real. Say something honest. Let the conversation breathe. And you'll find, without even trying, that you've become unforgettable. Chapter 5. Use eye contact and body language. Words matter. But what matters more, far more, is how you carry yourself. A man's confidence is not announced. It's not declared in compliments or demonstrated in how loudly he speaks about his goals. It's felt. quietly, viscerally, deep in the background of your presence. Confidence is something that lives in your body, in your posture, in your breath, in the energy you bring into a room before you've even said a single word. Women notice this long before they process what you're saying. They feel it in the way you move, in the way you enter a space, in the stillness behind your eyes, in the energy of your gestures. These nonverbal cues are ancient, wired deep into human psychology. The way you hold eye contact, the way you stand, the way you take up space without forcing it, all of it signals something primal, whether you're a man who leads his life from strength or from insecurity. A Stoic man doesn't flinch when eyes are on him. He doesn't fidget under pressure. He doesn't try to fill silence with words. His power is in his restraint. His presence isn't loud, but it's unmistakable. He doesn't avoid eye contact out of fear, nor does he overdo it out of performance. He simply looks, calmly, directly, intentionally, not to dominate, but to connect. He holds her gaze not to prove something, but to say something without words. I am fully here. There's a world of difference between looking at a woman and seeing her. One is visual. The other is emotional. And a woman can feel the difference instantly. She knows when a man is present, grounded, attuned. She can sense when a man is making eye contact from a place of inner stillness versus one of needy intensity. That calm, unwavering gaze? That's magnetic. Because it says, I'm not afraid of this moment. And that, more than anything, puts her at ease. But it's not just about the eyes. It's about your entire language without words. The way you carry yourself when you enter the room. Do you rush? Or do you move with calm intent? Are your shoulders tight, your arms crossed, your jaw clenched? Or are you open, relaxed, at ease in your own skin? Because here's the secret, body language doesn't lie. You can say all the right things. But if your posture screams insecurity, your message is already drowned. The Stoics knew this long before psychology gave it labels. They trained themselves not just to control their thoughts, but to discipline their physical presence. Marcus Aurelius walked like an emperor, not because he was told to, but because he embodied the dignity of the role. He understood that leadership, attraction, respect, they're not things you ask for. They're things you radiate. They're earned in the way you show up. So when you speak to a woman, don't just focus on the cleverness of your words. Focus on the energy behind them. Are you leaning forward with desperation, or are you calmly present in your own space? Are you mirroring her movements without even knowing it, because you're nervous, or are you leading with subtle strength? Are you trying to impress, or are you simply being? A Stoic man never forces. He allows. He observes. And then he responds, not reactively, but deliberately. One of the most powerful, silent ways to show desire is the slow, controlled movement of your body. The way you tilt your head when she speaks. The unhurried smile when something amuses you. The steady, anchored breathing that keeps you centered. This is what creates attraction beneath the surface. You're not trying to perform for her attention. You're simply making her feel your presence in a way that bypasses logic and goes straight to emotion. Because here's what most men don't understand: physical attraction isn't built on flexing muscles or dressing in flashy clothes. It's built on how you inhabit your body. Do you seem at home in yourself? Do you carry calm power without having to advertise it? Do you speak slowly enough for your words to land? Do you let silences stretch, or do you rush to fill them? All of this tells her how you handle life. And she's not just looking for excitement. She's looking for stability. A man who is unmoved by chaos. A man who leads not with volume, but with gravity. Even something as simple as how you listen changes everything. When she talks, are you genuinely present? Are your eyes tracking her meaning? Are your expressions alive and responsive? Or are you waiting for your turn to speak, nodding mechanically, with eyes that drift? Women crave the feeling of being seen. Not just heard, but deeply, silently seen. And your body language tells her if you're really with her or just playing a role. So stop worrying so much about saying the right thing. Stop trying to rehearse the perfect line. Start being the right presence. Let your body become the message. Let your stillness become the seduction. Because when a woman feels you are not just intellectually, but physically, emotionally, somatically, she won't need an explanation. She won't need a reason to be attracted. Her body will make the decision before her brain can analyze it. And here's the final truth: the more control you have over your body, the more control you have over your energy. And the more control you have over your energy, the more irresistible you become. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're being completely, powerfully you. A man who is at home in himself. A man who needs no words to be seen. That is rare. That is timeless. That is Stoic. Chapter 6. Create shared experiences and interests. If you want a woman to desire you without mind games, manipulation, or performance, then stop trying to convince her of your worth with clever words, flashy gestures, or rehearsed stories. Stop thinking that attraction can be engineered in a vacuum or scripted into existence. Instead, invite her into your world. Not the polished version. Not the curated version. The real one. Shared experiences are how chemistry is tested in the fire of real life. It's how emotional connection begins to form beneath the surface of words, and how genuine desire starts to grow instead of just spark and burn out. The Stoics believed that we do not truly know ourselves through thoughts alone. We understand who we are through action, through engagement with the world. And in that same spirit, you do not truly know someone, nor do they know you, unless you've experienced life together in meaningful ways. Sitting across from each other at a dinner table talking about your goals and past relationships is not the same as climbing a hill together, cooking a messy meal side by side, or wandering through an art gallery on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Words can deceive. But experience? Experience reveals. When a man includes a woman in his life, not as a decoration to show off, and not as an audience for his achievements, but as an equal participant in the things that genuinely light him up, he's doing something most men never dare. He's offering her a glimpse of his essence. That's the magnetic part. It's not about the activity itself, it's about the man she sees while it's happening. The man who loses track of time while building something with his hands. The man who lights up when he talks about his passions. The man who isn't trying to perform or entertain, but simply exists in his element. Whether you take her hiking, go to the farmer's market, spend an afternoon cooking, take a walk in silence, or share music that shaped you, what matters isn't the complexity or impressiveness of the moment. What matters is that you are real in it. That the energy behind it comes from stillness and joy, not anxiety or performance. She doesn't need a show. She needs to feel you. Your depth. Your sincerity. Your presence. That's what sticks. Shared experiences are also one of the most honest ways to assess true compatibility. When you do something together, something that pulls both of you into the moment, it exposes what can't be seen through conversation alone. Does she engage fully, or does she disconnect? Do you laugh effortlessly, or does everything feel forced? Do your energies align, or are you carrying the weight of the interaction alone? These are the truths most men avoid facing. Instead, They project fantasies onto a woman and chase an idealized version of her. A Stoic man does not. He tests reality through action. He seeks clarity, not illusions. Because when you share time in the real world, masks begin to fall off. The armor people wear when they're trying to impress starts to crack. That's where vulnerability slips in. That's where playfulness, awkwardness, and authenticity live. And those are the very things that build the deepest kinds of bonds. Not just surface chemistry, but emotional fingerprints that linger in memory. You may forget what someone said to you, but you never forget how someone made you feel when you were completely present with them. This is why laughter in the kitchen, or quiet reflection at a park bench, or even a shared challenge like trying something new together, these experiences become anchors. They create nostalgia before the relationship even begins. They make her associate you with feeling safe, light, inspired, excited. That's attraction that doesn't need strategy. That's desire rooted in shared emotional texture. And it doesn't just impact her. These experiences also change you. Because as you move through life with a woman by your side, not someone you're chasing, but someone you're allowing into your world, you begin to notice how much more attractive you become just by being present. You stop overthinking. You stop trying to impress. You start living, and through that, you start connecting. That's the kind of man who doesn't just catch her attention. He keeps it. And not because he's flashy, but because he's grounded in something real. The Stoic path is not about hiding from emotion or intimacy. It's about stripping away the need for approval, control, or game playing. When you build a relationship on experience, you remove the space for manipulation. You live in truth. And in that truth, you build something no algorithm or swipe culture can replicate, a real bond, forged in shared time, shaped by mutual respect, and deepened through emotional presence. So stop trying to talk your way in with compliments, witty one-liners, or strategies. Start living your way in. Bring her into the things that matter to you, not because you want to impress her, but because you want to share something meaningful. Invite her into your rhythm, your passions, your silence, your chaos. Let her see you fully and allow yourself to see her without filter. That's when attraction becomes more than physical. That's when it becomes inevitable. When you connect through living, not through performance, that's when she begins to truly want you, not for a night, not for attention, not for convenience, but for the life you naturally embody. And in a world full of men trying to play roles, the one who simply lives honestly will always stand out. Chapter 7. Build emotional attraction. Emotional attraction is the final, most essential piece of this entire process. Without it, physical attraction fades, intellectual curiosity weakens, and even shared experiences begin to feel hollow. Most men, in their pursuit of attention or validation, become obsessed with how they appear, how good they look, how charming they sound, how much they can impress her in the moment. But this surface-level focus blinds them to the deeper truth. What makes a woman stay, what makes her want a man long after he leaves the room, is emotional resonance. And here's what many men misunderstand: this isn't about becoming overly emotional. It's not about dumping your feelings on her or spiraling into oversharing. It's about becoming emotionally available. There's a massive difference. A Stoic man is not cold, detached, or numb. He feels everything, but he is ruled by nothing. He possesses emotional depth, but also emotional discipline. He acknowledges his internal world, but does not drown in it. And this creates an energy that women instinctively trust. When a man makes a woman feel emotionally safe, when she senses that he can hold space for her thoughts, her fears, her chaos without judgment, he separates himself from the crowd. He becomes more than just a lover or a date. He becomes someone she can anchor to. This is a different kind of desire. A deeper, quieter, more powerful magnetism. She stops viewing you as someone she might date and begins experiencing you as someone who understands her in ways even she can't articulate. And that, right there, is the magic. That's what ignites a bond that doesn't just attract her, it moves her. This emotional attraction builds slowly, subtly. It forms when you ask questions that matter. When your silence is comforting, not awkward. When your presence is steady, not reactive. When she shares something vulnerable and you respond not with panic or attempts to fix it, but with calm understanding. Most men cannot do this. They get overwhelmed. They shut down. They take things personally. But the Stoic man does not. He remains rooted. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he has trained himself to stand still in the emotional storm. Women don't crave perfection. They crave connection. An emotional attraction isn't some mystical quality you're born with, it's a skill. It's something you build by learning to feel without flinching. By choosing not to run away from discomfort, but to lean into it. By seeing her not as a conquest, but as a complex human being, and still choosing to be present. When you approach her from that space, she won't feel like you're trying to win her over. She'll feel like she belongs there with you without effort. That's not seduction. That's security. That's what creates chemistry that lasts. And the truth is, emotional attraction doesn't begin with her. It begins with you. With your courage to face your own insecurities. With your willingness to admit you don't have it all figured out. With your ability to be vulnerable without being weak. The Stoics never ran from emotion. They studied it. They mastered it. And because of that, they were able to engage with the world, not as fearful boys, but as grounded men. A Stoic man knows that emotional control is not emotional suppression. It is the discipline of understanding your feelings so deeply that you can connect without becoming consumed. So if you want to make her want you naturally, without manipulation or games, this is where it happens. Not in rehearsed lines. Not in chasing. Not in pretending to be someone you're not. But in that quiet confidence that says, I know who I am. I know what I feel. And I'm not afraid of yours either. That's the space she craves. That's what makes her lean in instead of pull away. It's not just attraction. It's gravity. Emotional attraction is the core. The foundation. The silent language that builds trust, intimacy, and real passion. And when it's present, everything else, physical desire, intellectual stimulation, romantic connection, falls into place without force. You won't need to chase her, because she'll feel pulled to you or by something real, something rare, something that no amount of charm or gameplaying can fake. So be the man who doesn't run. Be the one who stays. Not just physically, but emotionally. That's how you make her want you. And more importantly, that's how you keep her wanting you without ever having to manipulate a damn thing. A woman doesn't fall for a mask. She falls for the man behind it. The man who is clear in his values, steady in his emotions, and unshaken by external noise. That's the essence of attraction through Stoicism, where you don't manipulate, you magnetize. You don't chase her approval, you radiate your presence. And in doing so, you don't just make her want you, you make her feel safe to want you. Let other men waste their energy with tactics and tricks. You now know better. You build connection through intention, depth, and presence. And when you live this way, you stop worrying about whether she'll like you, because you already know you like who you are. So, if this message hits something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, drop a comment and share your story. Maybe you've met a woman who finally responded to your authenticity. Or maybe you're still learning to stop performing and just be. Wherever you are, your path is yours, and it matters. Subscribe if you're serious about leveling up your mindset, not just for her, but for you. And share this with a brother who needs to stop playing games and start living with strength. Remember, the Stoics didn't master women, they mastered themselves. And from that power, everything else followed. Now go be that man.